We have something like a 6% deficit in terms of GDP, and the interest rates are now quite high, which means that the cost of borrowing is very high. You know, this is the first expense, you know, in France, is the payment of the interest of the debt. Okay, so basically we have to reduce this deficit, and there is one additional difficulty: is the commitment, you know, to increase the defense budget. You know, the commitment is should be 5% of GDP. Currently, we have something like 2% of GDP. So it means a 3% gap. You know, so if you add this 3% gap to the actual 6% deficit, you have a 9% deficit. You know, it's enormous. We cannot afford that. So we have to make a choice, you know, on other dimensions of the public budget.
And so we're waiting for the government to announce some of the key measures potentially by the middle of July for the 2026 budget. Because we were talking about the deficit of this year. They try to reach 4.6% of deficit next year. So they have to find more money and make more cuts. How difficult is that going to be, given the political fragmentation and the minority government that we have in France at the moment?
Yes, indeed. So they do not have a majority in-house, so it's very difficult, you know, to get a consensus. And we never have a consensus, you know, on reducing the expenses, the public expenses in France. Okay, so it's indeed a difficulty, but we have to do it. So we have to make choice. This is the most important one, you know. There could be some temporary measure, you know, like we name this année blanche, the blank year or something like that, you know, in English, which will mean that we will not raise, you know, the social benefit according to inflation. Okay, so it could be a lot, you know, it could be a lot of money out of that. Think about the public pension in France, you know, it's 400 million euro per year. So if you increase by 1% inflation, it means that it's 4 billion euro for that year, you know. So it's a possibility. It's difficult, of course, because there will be some unrest and people will not be happy with out of that. But on more than that, it's not a structural reduction of the expense. You know, it's a one-shot decision. So it gives you some hair, you know, for 1 year. You know, but the increase, you know, in public expense for defense should be very long. You know, it's a long-run decision. You know, so you cannot finance it out of a blank year.